Arthur was merely a novice detective, entirely new to the field, when he was handed the most important case of the century. His strict itinerary, a tightly planned schedule of travel, led him to the remote and ancient Castle Blackwood. The kingdom was in chaos because of a shocking act of regicide. The beloved king had been murdered in his own home. Arthur began his investigation in the castle's vast apple orchard, where the king had hosted a grand outdoor feast the night he died. The king was known to be a massive glutton, eating far more than any normal person could stomach, and he had spent his final hours devouring roast boar and pies. Arthur's first suspect was the castle's curator, a man in charge of the Royal Museum's historical artifacts. The curator was a connoisseur of rare wines, possessing expert knowledge and refined taste. However, the curator was also fiercely reticent, keeping his thoughts and secrets completely to himself during the interrogation. Next, Arthur interviewed the royal physician. The doctor was a complete hypochondriac, constantly taking his own pulse and panicking over phantom illnesses. The doctor claimed he had spent the entire night in the kitchen, boiling river water to ensure it was completely potable and safe to drink. Arthur also questioned a bitter, exiled duke who had once been an apostate, a man who had publicly renounced the kingdom's official religion. The duke was completely agnostic, believing that it was impossible to know if any gods actually existed. Because the king was a documented misogynist who deeply despised women and had banished female nobles from the court, the duke argued that half the kingdom had a motive to kill him. That night, looking for clues, Arthur wandered the halls. He stumbled upon Lady Beatrice, who suffered from kleptomania. She was pocketing a silver candlestick, unable to resist her psychological urge to steal. However, Arthur knew a stolen candlestick didn't make her a murderer. Suddenly, Arthur heard a voice echoing from the courtyard. He looked down and saw the captain of the guard delivering a dramatic soliloquy, speaking his darkest thoughts aloud to an empty courtyard. But the captain wasn't awake. He was a somnambulist, sleepwalking through the gardens while dreaming. He was staring blindly up at a bright constellation of stars in the night sky. In his sleep-talking, the captain confessed everything. The captain had not acted alone. He had an accomplice who helped him slip the poison into the king's wine. This new evidence was enough to completely exonerate the quiet curator and the anxious doctor, clearing them of all blame. The kingdom's relief, however, was ephemeral, lasting only a very short time before the reality of their lost king set in. The next morning, the court gathered in the great hall, weeping as the royal poet recited a beautiful, mournful elegy to honor the dead monarch,